You're listening to Tavern Sports Radio Network.
Good morning, Vietnam!
I'm so excited!
Wow.
Woo! Woo!
Woo! Ow!
Welcome to the In the Booth podcast brought to you by Tavern Sports. I would like to welcome one of my best friends, Sammy Freeman. It's been a little while since we have talked. I feel like that's mostly my fault. I just moved into a brand new area, started a brand new job, but
Okay.
I'm glad to have you here today. So
Thanks for having me on. This is so exciting. This is my first little podcast interview moment. So
awesome. I know that, well, this is still only episode 2 of the In the Booth podcast. So still brand new. Definitely excited to have you here. First question I kind of wanted to ask you today is, where are you from originally? Because I know right now you are stationed in the University of Iowa, but that is not even close to where you are from.
nope. I am from White House Station, New Jersey. It's a little town in central Jersey. Grew up there since I was a little kid. Still living there. But yeah, I am currently in my little apartment in the University of Iowa.
Now, Sammy, you mentioned that you were from a little town in New Jersey. The interesting thing I always thought you had at your place, you don't have a normal type of pet at your house in New Jersey.
I have 4 goats. They are my sons, Billy, Griffin, Timmy, and Giuseppe. Billy is my lock screen. I don't know if you can see it up there, but oh no. Yeah, there he is. That's my boy. Yeah, but I fight 4 dogs, 4 goats. Got a fish in my apartment with me. Her name is Valentina. She's my girl. I'm getting a cat on Saturday, so I just keep racking them up.
That's almost the definition of a farm at this point.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier, you are currently at the University of Iowa. You used to play a specific sport there that not many people know about, I'd say, called field hockey.
Oh yeah.
So how did you get into field hockey? Because, in Iowa, in the Midwest in general, there are not any teams for the most part. I know that there's a couple of teams in St. Louis, a couple of teams in Chicago, but outside of those 2 big cities, it's not a thing anywhere else.
Yeah. So hockey's big on the East Coast. It's it kind of centralized in Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, some in Virginia as well, and the other states over there. When I was little, my parents had me in all the sports, softball, lacrosse, soccer, and then my sister started field hockey. So when I was 6, that's when I first picked up a stick. And then I ditched the other sports kind of around middle school age, got into a club team, and just kept chugging along, and now I'm here. So
Now, Sammy, you obviously we both went to the University of Iowa together. Do you remember where we had kind of met and how we met?
we met in my apartment in the Rise. It was July 3rd of 2021. And I was at fireworks, and there was there was a little party at my apartment. So I was really freaked out that there was a bunch of people in my apartment and I wasn't there. And I was rushing to get home, and I walk in and there's so many people that I didn't know, and I was like, what is going on, man? And then I met you and some other people, and then we went downtown that night, and just the rest is history. So
I can remember a specific picture. I don't know if you took it that night. It might have been a couple weeks later, but there's a specific picture I know that you have on your phone where we look scary similar to each other in the sense of like related.
and I'm about to pull it up.
And we have no relation to each other. So
No, we do not. And here it is.
I will
is my brother.
I will have you send it to me. Maybe I'll put that in the podcast, but
Just
definitely Definitely a lot of fun. I miss a lot of our time in Iowa City. Um, but I mentioned that you joined field hockey at a young age. You ended up obviously going to the University of Iowa for field hockey. How did that come about, choosing a college for that sport? Um, and why field hockey, I guess, in general.
Mhm. So I started to really like it when it came time around middle school, and when I felt that I was like building enough skill that I was like a little bit of a superstar. And I was like, I like this. Like, I like how it feels. I like the rush. I like the competition. Come from a big competitive family. We've all played sports. My dad was playing rugby. My mom was track, and I just like being like my sisters as well because they played. And my oldest sister, Maddie, she went to Montclair State University in North Jersey to play hockey. And then Nikki started to go through her recruiting process. She's the middle sister. And she got noticed by Iowa and she was given an offer. So that kind of put Iowa on my radar. And it's starting to get earlier and earlier nowadays, but they did set like limits on the recruiting process so that people weren't committing like their freshman year. But I think I really started getting deep with the recruiting process my sophomore year of high school. I was a part of Princeton Field Hockey Club, and my coaches were absolutely phenomenal and so helpful during the recruiting process, just getting me contacts and, getting me up to camps and stuff. And I had gone out to a camp here my freshman year of high school, and I had a conversation with my mom's friend after I got home. She was like, "How'd you like it out there?" She called me her baby bull. She goes, "Do you like it out there, baby bull?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "You can see yourself becoming a Hawkeye?" And I said, "Maybe." So that kind of just put me onto the map out here. I loved the city. I loved how big the school was because I came from a huge high school. And I got out here and I kept coming to camps and clinics. And then my junior year, I was really narrowing down the options, and I kind of had a little bit of a difficult recruiting process. But eventually I went to a tournament in Virginia in November of my junior year. And then after that, I got a phone call from Miss Lisa Salucci, and the rest is history. So yeah,
Awesome. Yeah,
committed on December 3rd.
I know that you played with your sister out at Iowa for at least 1 year. Was it 1 year or 2 years?
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
I know that was definitely, I'm sure, fun. Was there ever another time that you did play with your sister?
Only once actually, because she was a senior when I was a freshman, and they didn't really do like pulling up kind of stuff in high school. So we didn't get that opportunity, but there was one tournament in high school where he was still at Princeton, and there was a person that dropped out of the tournament to go to an indoor tournament in Virginia,
Hmm.
and they were like, "You want to play U19 as a 14-year-old?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, I do, because I can play with my sister." So I got up in there. We were having a great time. It was really nice to finally get that chance to play with her, and not just like recreationally. And then out here, the couple times that we were always on separate teams at practice and stuff, but like when we did get to play together, there's just like this like innate connection that you just find each other, and that's hard to come about with teammates. So it's nice that I had that with my sister. So
Sammy, you mentioned in field hockey, or in middle school, I should say, is when you kind of started to enjoy field hockey a little bit more. Was there a period
yeah.
in time in which you started to realize that your athletic ability in the game of field hockey was above that of, kind of the average person?
Um, I mean, yeah, I would say like in middle school, because that was kind of when I ignore the dog upstairs. Because that was kind of when I got into a club team, and not many people on like my middle school team were on a club team. And I was put into like a center mid position, and I was, scoring the goals, and I got pulled up to the A team my seventh grade year, which was like not very common. And I just felt like I was meeting or exceeding the level of those that were a little bit older than me. So that was kind of when I realized it. And then when I got to high school as well, I was like, okay, like I know that I can take this further than high school, and I want to. Um, so yeah, that's kind of when I got locked into trying to be the best.
So you joined the University of Iowa in the year of 2020. Is that correct? In the year of
Oh.
2020, obviously a very rough year to join anything and leave home at any time. You guys didn't live in the dorms like most freshmen did at the time because it was just too difficult with COVID happening.
Yeah.
Your arrival at campus, what was that experience like compared to maybe those who did experience the dorms and everything?
Certainly different. I got there in late June of 2020, and I was living at the condo in Coralville at the time with one of my teammates, and we just rock up to practice. You know, we would wear masks from time to time. Couldn't touch the balls to put them in the ball bucket. Like it was just very odd. And when I speak to the freshmen now and the ones below me and the sophomores and the juniors, I feel like I was a bit of a loss coming in for, you know, friend wise and experience wise, because everybody knows being in a dorm sucks. You know, you're sharing a room with somebody, no privacy, but at the same time I was like, that's such like an integral part of being a college student, and I didn't really get that. And I was very, very lucky to have the apartment that I had, but I do feel like I missed out a little bit and on a lot of things. You know, we couldn't see anybody outside the team, and I felt very grateful to have such good teammates and my sister, but it did feel very, very isolating.
Yeah, I can remember that time being very similar for me as well, where it was show up every day with a mask on. You don't get to see anybody's faces; you just see their eyeballs. So every once in a while, when you did see them out in public, if they didn't have a mask on or if they were
Oh.
out walking, like it was a whole different person. Didn't know who they were sometimes. So
Yeah.
This episode of Show Me the Money is brought to you by Tavern Sports, your place to get fun sports content, sportsbook lines and parlays, and of course food reviews with Big E's Ballpark Bites. You can follow Tavern Sports on Instagram at Tavern Sports 2023, TikTok at Tavern.Sports, and Twitter at Tavern Sports 23.
Sammy, one of the next questions I have for you is there a moment that stands out most from playing the sport of field hockey, specifically just in your personal life in general, like favorite kind of moment in field hockey?
Oh man, there's so many. And a lot of them once I got to college stopped being like my own. Because a lot of my favorite moments in like high school were very like self-focused, like, oh, when I scored this goal and broke a tie-break game, and I scored this goal to get to the states championship, and I did this and I did that, and I would watch videos back and I'm like, oh, this is so great. I love looking at this. And then I got to college and it's like having everybody in a tight circle getting locked in before a game, or rushing the field after a big, big win, or just celebrating with your team. Like it, I think that's the big difference between like the growth that an athlete feels once they get to a college sport, is the moments that you find are your favorites are more team focused. But I think from this year, one of my favorite moments was just walking onto the field against UNC. They're number one. We were, I think, 7 seed in preseason, and it was hot, it was sweaty, big crowd. Their band was there, and I was just so locked in, and I felt so in tune with my teammates at that moment. And I knew that there was like no way that we're walking out of this game with a loss. And then just celebrating afterwards, taking a picture. It was just the best. I think like just everything about my favorite moments have just been with my teammates. So
That's definitely a unique side of, I think, I don't want to say women's athletics in general, but it's not something that you see as prevalent in the men's athletics. So it is definitely cool to see, at least kind of social media wise, especially recently, as you know, going to a school with Caitlin Clark.
oh
Um,
yeah.
I bet
Um,
that is, I mean, she was there when I was there for what, a year, but was nowhere near the name that she is now. Um, so it's definitely very cool to see not only a name that is so large in women's athletics there, but very similar to the women's basketball team at Iowa. Your guys' team was usually ranked toward the top every year that I was there, and continue to be ranked toward the top every year after that as well.
Yep.
What is it? Is there a certain sort of pressure on you guys as a top ranked team? Like, is that something that comes to mind in the middle of a game? Like, oh my gosh, we're the 3 seed, they're the 1 seed, like we're gonna take them down. Is that something that's going through your head in the middle of a game?
Yeah, I think it's like a kick in the ass sometimes too, when you're not performing as well as you should be. And it's like a personal thing and a team thing. It's like we're number one right now and we're only 1-0 up, or we're tied, or we're a goal down. Like, what are we doing? Like, and it's a good reminder to just put your best out there 24/7. It's a huge motivator for myself personally, because when I would show up to practice and I'm like, I don't know if I can give my all today, or I'm feeling tired, or I'm exhausted, I'm like, I play for the number one team in the country. And even when we're not ranked number one, we see ourselves as the number one team. And like, if that doesn't light a fire under your ass, I don't know what will. So it's a lot of pressure for sure. It definitely weighs on you. And once you get to postseason and you're done, and especially now being like retired, you realize how much you can like withstand, like just being in the eyes of everybody in the field hockey community and everybody knowing your team's name and being talked about constantly. It's a lot of pressure, and it's not for everybody. And at times, even if you're on the team, you don't think it's for you, but you just got to push through and remind yourself that like you're here for a reason. You're on the number one team for a reason. If you're on the number one team, you can play like you're on the number one team. So you got to do better.
I think one of the things I wanted to get deep about today was one of your injury issues in college. I mean, that was something I know you definitely had a lot of knee troubles going into, I think, your junior year. Is that correct?
Yeah, it started my sophomore spring.
Okay. So I remember it felt like forever. And I'm sure it felt like that for you too. Can you kind of explain how you got yourself through that period of time, and how long it took you to get back to uh, where you were able to compete and perform at your top performance again?
Mhm. So my postseason eval, sophomore, coaches were like, we really want to see some good stuff out of you in the spring. You're going to be in this position. You're going to do this and that. And I was like, hell yeah, like, let's go. I'm so excited. This is my spring. First day on the pitch, sophomore spring, I am doing a run. Best run I've ever had as well. I'm freaking killing it. And then I have a little tumble. And I was like, ooh, that don't feel right. That doesn't feel right. And then I keep running. Everything's fine. I get to weights. I can't bend. And I was like, okay, something's wrong. Maybe I should get this checked out. And I think a lot of the struggle that I had with that injury is the fact that it just felt like it took forever to get things moving.
Mhm.
And if that's not a sign to vouch for yourself medically, just take it. But I had a screwed up like fat pad under my right kneecap, and it was folded over, and we tried everything. We tried steroid injections, platelet rich plasma injections. That took me out of the spring season completely. When I got those, I was on the track back into running and playing in March, and then I got an ultrasound done, and they were like, nope. And I was like, oh, great. So then once those didn't work, I got them, and then they didn't work. So I had to go in for another ultrasound. They said it's time for surgery, and I said, okay. Initially, the recovery was going as expected. And then, I was getting back into things. I was doing physical therapy. I was doing rehab, got into a little fender bender over the summer. Kind of set me back a little bit in the progress, because I had to brake real hard with my right leg. You know what that's all about. And then, and then I didn't really have a clear image of when I was supposed to come back. I was hoping it was going to be August, September, but I was really, really struggling with the idea of that, because at that point I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, if I don't make it back in time for season, in time for earning myself a spot, like, I don't even want to be here anymore. I was having a real hard time with so many things involving field hockey and life and school that I just felt so down, and the road ahead was very murky, and I didn't know if I wanted to be here anymore at the school me playing field hockey. I was like, it's not worth it. I might be happier. Um, but I just kept pushing through. I got a really, really good physical therapist here, and we had some vent sessions every now and then and got me back into health. I was using the Ultra G treadmill to work out. That was cool. And then around August, I started running again. September, I was lifting again, and then by October, I was cleared and then thrown onto the field against Michigan. So yeah, it sucked a lot. It definitely was hard. I look back on that with a lot of pride that I made it through and stuck through it this far, because I really didn't see myself making it to my senior year in terms of hockey after during that injury. And I mean, it's a very light injury. People tear their ACLs all the time, and it's already projected longer than what I took to get back into it. But it doesn't make it invalid. It was still really hard, and yeah.
Well, I was really glad that you were not only healthy but actually being able to play in your senior season was very exciting to finally watch you on the field. It took a
Okay.
while, but I'm sure it was more than worth it, especially with the season you guys had. You guys were ranked number one for most of the season, if I'm correct.
A week.
5 weeks. So that's one hell of a run that I don't think any almost no sports programs can claim that same victory. So that's definitely really cool to have.
Yeah.
And Sammy, we'll get out of the super personal stuff for the most part. But let's dive into something that as a former baseball guy that I really find interesting is the routines and superstitions that you have on game days. Is there anything specific that you do that, some people will look at you and be like, what is wrong with you? I'm knowing you, I'm sure that there is something that you have.
So there's probably a good amount. Every single morning I would rock up to Starbucks and I'd get my pumpkin cream cold brew. I don't care if I had 2 sips of it or 1 sip or I had the whole thing and it gave me the shits. I'm getting it on game day. I don't care if I'm on the road, what state I'm in. If I can't go to Starbucks myself, I'm texting my parents, please get me my cold brew. Please get me my cold brew. And specifically the pumpkin cream cold brew. Even in August, there's that. I've also been the DJ of the team for the past 4 years, and I hold that position very close to my heart. If you saw in pictures this year, I was carrying around the boombox almost every day, and on away games, I'd make sure that we had a little walkout music, and then I'd always play the music in the locker room, make sure that everybody got their requests in, but I had my songs in there. We'd always play shots before. Don't know why. It's just ingrained in Iowa field hockey. And then my personal one when we're on the road is I always listen to one specific song, and I hold this artist very close to my heart for one, and then this album as well, Kendrick Lamar. I was in the top listeners on Spotify, and this album that I listened to since my sophomore year came out on the day of my surgery. March 13th, 2022, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers was published. I listened to the whole thing. It's like a little pregame to my surgery. I listened to the whole thing, got myself ready, and then every single game, doesn't matter if I was at home or away, I would listen to the song Mr. Morale before the game and just be like sitting in the backseat of the bus, just like getting into it, Everyone's like, what the hell? But because sometimes I'm with their own music, but even if it's just one song that I have to listen to, then I put the headphones away. It's that. So
I actually didn't know that about you. That now hearing it, it doesn't at all surprise me. But
love Kendrick, big K.
all right, here's another one for you. I'm wondering what your favorite interaction has been with a fan, a supporter, whoever it has been in not just your time at Iowa, in your entire field hockey career, even if it was somebody, or even if it was sometime that you were not playing? Like, were you a fan of a field hockey player, or is there kind of just a moment fan supporter wise that stands out to you?
Um, ooh, so in high school, and this is like obviously like all the parents would come to the games and stuff. And one of my friends, my senior year, just started calling me Big Ten the whole season. Because I was going to a Big Ten school. Like, why not? And there were multiple times where I was put on the spot doing a stroke. And my one friend's dad, Megan Dalgauer, his name is Don, Disco Don. Every single time that I'd walk up to the spot, take a stroke, about to take a corner, I'd hear that man in the stands, "Come on, Big Ten!" And I was like, oh yeah, like I am making this. If for anyone, for Don Dalgauer. Like that is my man up there. And like I can hear my mom, I can hear my dad, but I'm just like, he's got me. If nobody else got me, he does. If I got zero fans, he's dead. Like, like that just rings in my head like all the time. Even now at a school where all of us are Big Ten field hockey players, all I hear is like, "Come on, Big Ten!" And I was like, "Yeah, that's me. I'm Big Ten. Yes, come on." So like that's so niche, but like that's
No,
just
that's a great answer though. I mean, even I went to plenty of Iowa field hockey games, and man, those fans are rowdy. Like the parents the parents for Iowa field hockey, they get rowdy and really into it.
Oh
So
yeah, Leah Zellner's mom. Mm.
I miss Melissa. She great woman. What does so this is going to be we're going to get a little bit more into your future now. Obviously you're pretty much done with field hockey, at least for now. Is there you never know if maybe some coaching opportunity pops up in the future. Um, is there a what does your future kind of look like at the moment, whether it's with field hockey, without field hockey? What are the future plans coming up for you?
So I graduate on May 11th, and then the next day, the very next day, I am taking a plane out to Boston, where I will be starting nursing school, to go through an accelerated program. It's going to be tight and short, 1 year, at the MGH IHP Massachusetts General Hospital Institute of Health Professions. Dream hospital, very excited about it. Living alone, big city, sister's going to be there, so that's the good thing. But I hope to be a ER nurse for quite some time. And then I want to be a flight nurse so bad. That's my dream. I have a very special interest in planes and helicopters. So this is like all of the things that I love packed into one, just like adrenaline rush, aircrafts, and medicine. I currently work in the ER and I love it so much. I'm doing a great job in there and I love my coworkers and what I do. So I really think that emergency medicine is the place for me. As for field hockey, I did get a text from my sister the other day saying, "Hey, you want to join a summer league in Boston?" And I said, "Fuck yeah. Yes. Yes, I do." And my oldest sister plays in an indoor league and an outdoor league in Jersey. So you know that as soon as I go back to Jersey for anything, I will be hopping on that court, showing my stuff, playing with my sisters. So I do see field hockey in my future, even if it's just on a small court in rural Jersey on the weekends. But I'll still take it. I'll take it in any way, shape, or form. So.
Yeah, I know from personal experience the ER is the perfect spot for you just because of the constant chaos that is happening inside of an emergency room. Uh, I see you post all the time with the first med helicopter flying in, so definitely a cool little experience there. I'm sure that you're definitely on the path to become one of those. What was it, an airplane nurse or a
Flight nurse.
flight nurse? Thank you. Thank you. Um, what advice, obviously your professional slash college career of hockey is kind of ending. And I'm sure you had advice at some point. What advice would you give to somebody who is in your position right now? looking to not necessarily even field hockey, but just in general college athletics, or deciding on school, or deciding whether or not to even play a sport in college, what advice would you give them? What helpful hints going into their adult lives would you recommend for them?
Get ready. It's a long ride, and make sure that where you're at is a good fit for you, because any level of collegiate athletics is an honorable feat, D3, D2, D1. It's all hard, and it's all a struggle, and it's all so rewarding. But especially when you get up to the top and you're on bigger stages, just make sure that you remind yourself who you're playing for, whatever that is, because it could be you, it could be your family, it could be your teammates, and keep that close to your heart. Because that's what's going to get you through the day on the hard training days and the hard games and the losses and the wins. And also, just when you're choosing a program, make sure that you're not holding on to one single thing that you like about it, because there are so many places out there that you could have a great time at, and you could flourish in and play. Maybe even if you would have a good time riding the bench, plenty of places for that too. There's just like, make sure you're not zeroed in to one spot, because I do have people that I played with and they chose a school because of the team, or just the coaches, or just this, just that, and then the coach left, or team changed, team vibe changed. You realize you hated the city. And this is also coming from a position of privilege, because not everybody has those options when it comes to money. But if you do find yourself in a position to go anywhere, make sure that you are making the right choice for yourself, because that's what's going to make you stick until your senior year and actually enjoy it. Like, looking back on it, it's so hard and it was a lot, but you really have to take care of yourself. Just choose the right spot. Make sure they're chasing you too. Don't be chasing after somebody that doesn't want you. Just like, find somewhere that's going to value what you value in sports. Is it going to be the individual accomplishments? Is it going to be the team accomplishments? Is it the dynamic? Do you want more of a hard ass coach? Do you want more of a chill coach? But again, back to like the self point, just take care of yourself, because that's what's going to get you through 4 years of an athletic program, is looking after yourself and making sure that you're surrounding yourself with good people like yourself that are going to help you get through it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you would agree in the sense of time management is probably the most important thing you will learn in college. So,
Oh yeah. If you are traveling every single weekend and you can't go to your Friday or your Thursday classes, you're gonna have to figure out how to talk to professors,
mm,
go to office hours, figure your shit out, get your ducks in a row. You got to be locked in to organization skills, because I know I didn't have that coming in, and it hit me like a truck. It's hard. So lock
and
in. Gonna lock in for you. So
and I don't think a lot of people do have that locked in. I think that's definitely a kind of a kick in the ass that some people need to learn.
yeah.
But it's also one of those things where like it will benefit you for the rest of your life. And
Nothing's gonna prepare you better for the business world and the rest of your life like college athletics do. I could be wrong, but for me, I feel like I can fight God. Like, I'm like it just helped a lot.
Hey there, sports fans! Are you tired of the same old boring shirts? Well, we've got something exciting for you. Introducing the Tavern Sports Pocket Tee, where style meets passion for the game. Whether you're a die-hard fan or just like the environment, Tavern Sports has got you covered, literally. The best part, because you're listening to Show Me the Money, you can use the code $$ to get 15% off today. So what are you waiting for? Head over to tavern-sports.square.site right now and elevate your game day experience. Tavern Sports. Beer, betting, sports.
all right, and then last real question I have for the most part. If you could go back and relive any one sports moment, go back in a hot tub time machine, relive any one sporting moment and see that in real time, what event would it be? See it for the first time. I take that back. you're going back to relive an event for the first time. What event would you go back to?
This is so overdone and I don't even care. Sophomore season. We're playing Michigan. It's the number 1 versus the number 2 game. We have a almost record attendance. We got wrestling there. We got football. We got baseball. We got the parents, the fans, the friends, whatever. Extended family even. And we go into double overtime. Nothing falls. First of all, we were down. And then with little time left, we got the score back up to a tie game, brought it into double overtime. And just like my freshman year against Michigan, we went into double shootouts. And there is this fantastic picture, I will send it to you later, of like 7 of us on the sideline while we're waiting for the next shootout to go. And every single emotion that could be possibly captured during a game is captured. I'm on the ground screaming. Ellie Holly is completely turned around because she can't even watch. Somebody's sitting there like this. Like it's such a funny picture. And just the feeling of like, as soon as Sophie scored that goal, we're like, fuck yes. Like, this is our fucking field. And then everybody rushes the field. Never had that happen before at a Feel Like a Game. I've never seen that ever. And then we just had so many people, like all these athletes and friends surrounding us. We're all in a dog pile and everybody's chanting. Somebody's holding a stick over their head, like that picture of Travis Scott. And there's somebody doing cartwheels. There's a video of that. It's crazy. And that was just the most unreal experience of my life. Like I want to see that again before I die. Like I just need to relive it and get in there in the first person. It was fantastic. I will never forget that moment until ever.
I bet that game is viewable on some sort of social media platform, whether it's YouTube or Big Ten Network or yeah,
the rushing.
I mean that is I remember being at that game personally as well, and that was by far and away, I think, in terms of a sport that's not one of the big 3, my favorite sporting moment at the University of Iowa. Yeah, I remember even people who that was their first field hockey game ever. They've never watched it before. Myself being included, I hadn't watched it until I went to one because a lot of the people who lived around me in the dorm had lived in or had been playing field hockey. And so that was, I think, year 3 of me watching it. I understood it enough where I understood what was happening, but by far and away my favorite moment at Iowa sporting wise, I think. It was really cool just because for myself, at least, I was friends with everybody who actually got to celebrate. So it was like to see everybody. Yeah, to see all of the people that I speak to every day, like accomplish a feat so high. That was a high moment for sure.
Yeah, that's how I feel about the basketball girls.
Yeah.
Like my friends on the team, when I see them have a wicked win, I'm like, I feel like I need to be bowing down and I need to make like a fucking whatever it's called, like,
a shrine
for you. Like a shrine. I love you so much. You're so cool. Like that's
and then Sammy, that pretty much wraps up our podcast for this evening. If people want to follow your journey in the future, get in touch with you, interact with your content, how can they do that?
You can find me on Instagram at sfreeman21. That is Freeman, or if you just search up Sammy Freeman, you'll see my face. You know what I look like now if you're watching this. So give me a little follow, send me a little DM, tell me who you are, what you're all about. I'd love to meet people. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, Sammy, thanks for joining me. This has been episode 2 of the In the Booth podcast. It was a pleasure to catch up with you.
I'm so excited!
Wow.
Woo! Woo!
Ow!